There's an interesting terrain feature right over there. It's some steep area that kind of cuts off a huge saddle that's basically like eliminated from use, and right near it is a small patch of white oaks. That's what I'm seeing on my Onyx. It's also a dumping point of 3 creeks that are kind of right there, 3 little branches that are right there together, and it's about 600 yards. I didn't see anybody parked here yesterday, so I'm wanting to hit this field, hit that creek, and then work my way back to that interesting terrain feature.
I've got another persimmon here, but there's no food on it, it seems. Well, I'm not gonna say it's a complete waste, but we definitely checked that area off. No fresh bucks on, no whip rubs, nothing like that. 2.3 miles in that loop. Very minimal feed sign. I mean, the most feed sign I think we saw was on the beech nuts / mountain oaks when we dropped off into that shelf where we jumped that pond. So anyways, we're gonna load up, go check out some other spots, and try to hunt our way into a spot this evening. It's only 1:20 right now in the afternoon, and it doesn't get dark until like after 8 here, so we got plenty of time, but we're gonna kind of mosey on over and try to go check out a different ridge system on this place.
I followed a good rub line through some other CRP fields down to a creek bed. It really opened up, and we pushed through that open area into some thicker timber, kind of at the base of this ridge where there's a broken saddle. That's kind of a blocked area that can't really travel through. And we worked along the base of that and found another some pretty fresh rubs coming up and down this ridge. And so we're going to access that location. We found a feed tree there, a couple of white oaks that were dropping really fresh, approximately a third of the way up this ridge. And so we're going to access from the southeast corner of that through a CRP field, down through a creek bottom, and then just basically hook our way up onto this ridge, onto that 1/3 level, onto a bench where that feed tree is located at, and try to intercept that buck coming down into these fields in the afternoon or in the night, which is what I'm thinking he's doing.
Deer. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. It doesn't get dark here till like 8:20, and there was already 2 deer right here feeding. I hear acorns dropping too. They were right out here. It looks like there's a little low spot, and there's a ditch that runs up right here with 2 ridge points going off, and they were like right there. So this area, which is what's called a ridge top hub, it's like kind of like your hand, where you have like one high spot, which is like the palm of your hand, and then you have all these secondary ridge points that come up to that high spot. That's what this is. There's ridge points going off every direction from us, and based on Onyx, the white oak layer, it shows there's a bunch of oaks up here. It looks like there's a lot of mountain oaks right here, but there's probably some white oaks scattered throughout. So this is a great spot potentially for these bucks and these deer in general to come up to this high spot to feed before they drop down to some of the private and everything else down the bottoms. There's a bunch of droppings right here. Bunch of droppings. We've got a scrape right here on this sparkleberry bush. Got a worn out looking branch. Kind of just kicked up the ground right here. Right underneath these mountain oaks that are dropping. They're clearly eating on these mountain oaks. And they're just littered all over the ground right here. And this is about where those deer were standing, I think, when we bumped them. We're all set up right here on the top of this ridgetop hub. We've got a bunch of different secondary points, both to our west, to a little bit to the north, and also to our east, that all meet at this one spot. There's a thick buffer line, like an interior edge of sparkleberry, that runs the top of this ridge, and it seems like a lot of these deer are working that, going back down to the south towards some private. We'll see how everything plays out. Those 2 deer that we bumped on the way in, they ran off down one of those secondary points. So they might have blown that point up for us, but we still have 4 other ones around us that deer could come in from. Second day of the hunt. Yesterday, me and Andrew found on top of this big ridge a bunch of bucks on. We found a couple different fresh whip rams and like 3 or 4 fresh scrapes that had just been worked. While the deer that we saw were all coming off these secondary points going up in elevation. We've got a lot of overcast day today, so we're gonna have some falling thermals. So we're gonna slip through this bottom and actually look for more whip ropes down low, but also more feeds on. There's a lot more ricks down here in these bottoms on these secondary points, so we're gonna kind of ease around. There's a big thermal hub I want to get to and check out and see if we can find some buck sign coming off the top of the ridge, dropping down to those oaks. It's getting a little windy now, but we're still side hill on the top of this ridge system, working back to the truck. We just came on this couple really good rubs. These are kind of like what you call like some of your earlier whip rubs, probably from a better quality, you know, mature buck. This deer, he's come in here and he's hit 1, 2, 3 different sections of this mountain laurel. I mean, just piecing it up completely. Let's see if we can find some other sign around here, kind of give us an idea of how this buck's using this general area, because the thing about this is kind of where I would expect to find a mature buck. There's very few deer up here, like very few deer, very little sign. There's some old tracks up here, old rubs. But if you found one of these bigger, older, mature, kind of like a hermit buck, kind of higher in elevation, he's away from all the other deer, this is probably where you'd find him at. And based off this sign, I would say we probably have one of those bucks on our hands right here. To be honest, this is some of the best habitat I've ever seen on public land. They just came through and high-graded, did a high-grade cut in all this timber, left all the quality oak trees, and it's just beautiful here. Great cover, tons of browse, great nesting.
I have way more losses than I do wins, but the wins sure do weigh a lot more than those losses do. You know, I look back on I'm not saying the biggest bucks, but some of the best hunts I've ever had have been on days when I really was at my lowest. You know, not a I can't believe this happened kind of deal, because those stick out too. But one of those, like, this was such a situation I was going into, and look just what being persistent did.
It is our second to last morning, and finally we got some hot intel. So yesterday ran into a pretty big buck right here on this road system we're walking in on. We jumped right off the side of the road. He didn't see us, but he definitely heard us come walking, and that was Shane. After we kind of sat back at the house last night, we were kind of figuring out where we think he might rebed at. And it seems like the habitat he's in is unbelievable habitat. He's probably not going to move very far.
Yeah, I mean, we figure he's within 100 yards of where he was last night if he's not in the same exact bed.
Yeah. So the game plan is, we got three of us going in, you, me, and Andrew, kind of setting up in different spots all the way kind of around him. Not necessarily hunting the bed, but the habitat he's in, it's, you know, the high graded cut where it's been like a heavy slug cut, mostly hardwood timber. All the cover's about, you know, waist high or shorter. So we're planning that we can set up after light so we can lay eyes on him and potentially get a shot at him.
Yeah, or set up this afternoon wherever he rebeds.
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah, I like it. It's a good setup.
I'm excited. He's a good deer too. It's just in an area that I'm not very confident in how to hunt it, but that's why we've got you here to kind of talk about this, is because he's in an area, it's got some thicker ground cover. It's hard to find features. There's a lot of features out there, a lot of white oaks that produce a lot of mountain oaks, but it's hard to figure out a tree, so that's why we're kind of focusing on that bedding area and trying to lay eyes on them that way. So
So subtle terrain features, you can't really see this in that habitat. You can't really see this going to direct him. So hopefully we'll get eyes on him, and if he bumps out of his bed, we'll have a good idea where he's going.
Absolutely awesome. Well, cool. Let's go. And walking.
Good luck.
Good luck. All right, text us when y'all get set. All right, that's going to wrap up our Georgia hunt here in North Georgia. It's been an unbelievable trip. Good opportunities, found quite a bit of sign, but we just weren't able to seal the deal, especially on a buck on this trip. Some of the bigger takeaways that we've learned is timing the feed sign with also some of this buck sign that these bucks are laying down right now. There's still quite a few bucks still in velvet. Most of the mature bucks that we've either seen or found the sign of seem to already be in hard horn, and they're the ones leaving a lot of these whip rubs right now. But I'll say this, props to anybody, especially in Georgia, hunting this more mountainous area or any other state that's got this mountainous terrain that has an early September season. Props to them to be able to go out and actually have success targeting and killing mature whitetails consistently in this time of the year, because it's proved to us to be extremely challenging. They're definitely here, and for good reason, very good habitat diversity, but also something that kind of blew us away was the amount of hunting pressure, even during the week on this trip. So clearly a lot of other hunters are trying to take full advantage of it, and for good reason. This would be a fantastic opportunity. Again, if you're trying to go out and prime yourself for your season, whether your season opens later in October, or if you just want to try to get out there and get fine-tuned going into your deer season, finding an opportunity like this where you're able to go hunt some public land in a state or in your home state early season will definitely help you tune yourself for woodsmanship and everything else. So very excited for some of our other trips we have planned for later on this year. and you're not going to want to miss it. So thank y'all for watching, and we'll catch y'all back here on the next hunt from the Southern Outdoorsman.